It's Friday, September 21st. India has joined the list of 8 countries that maintain a database of sex offenders. The National Registry of Sexual Offenders will be maintained by the National Crime Records Bureau and will reflect personal details like residential address, fingerprints, DNA sample, PAN and Aadhaar numbers of convicted sexual offenders. The database, unlike say in the United States, will not be available to the public. Only law enforcement agencies will be able to access it for the purpose of investigation and police verification of employees. The Indian Express reports that the registry will also store information on arrested and charge-sheeted offenders, which means those accused that are yet to be convicted, in whose cases the trial is not complete, but with a clause that limits access to officers with the requisite clearance. Juvenile offenders are likely to be included in the database at a later stage. The setting up of the database comes following nationwide outrage over increasing sex crimes against women and children. But some organizations working for child rights, for instance, have pointed out that this could prove counterproductive. Look at the last published National Crime Records Bureau data. Of the 38,947 cases of rape, in nearly 95% of cases, the accused was known to the victim. In many of those cases, the accused is a close family member. In such a scenario, where there is already pressure on the victim to not report the crime from within the family, this will make the victim more vulnerable to pressure. Given the prospect that once a name figures in the registry, it follows that access to jobs will be limited and there will be little scope for rehabilitation. Jayashree Bajoria of Human Rights Watch points out that the register will also include everyone arrested, charged and convicted of technical rape, a term used by law enforcement to describe consensual sexual activity involving a girl under 18. This means a boy who has consensual sex can be recorded in the database if someone, including the parents of the girl, file criminal charges. Also, will a sex offenders registry prevent or mitigate the occurrence of such crimes? Many activists and legal experts have argued there is little evidence to demonstrate that it does, pointing in particular to the example of the United States, which has a registry people can access, to say that hasn't reduced the number of sexual assaults. It is the stuff that flying nightmares are made of. Several passengers on board a Jet Airways Mumbai-Jaipur flight began to bleed from their ears and nose mid-air after the crew forgot to switch on the system to maintain cabin pressure. The flight with 166 passengers then returned to Mumbai.
ये फ्लाइट टेक ऑफ होने के बाद शुरू में ही इसमें एयर कंडीशन सिस्टम पहले डाउन हो गया और उसके बाद उसका जो एयर प्रेशर सिस्टम था वो डाउन होने की वजह से तुरंत ऑक्सीजन मास्क नीचे आ गए. बहुत सारे लोग उसमें दिक्कत महसूस कर रहे थे. कुछ लोगों को नाक से ब्लीडिंग भी हुआ और सांस लेने में बहुत दिक्कत हो रही थी.
One passenger was taken to a Mumbai hospital for an audiometry test. An audiometry check tests one's ability to hear. The Deputy Director General of DGCA, Lalit Gupta, was quoted by the Hindustan Times as saying, "The 9W697 Mumbai-Jaipur flight was turned back to Mumbai after takeoff as during the climb the crew forgot to select switch to maintain cabin pressure. This resulted in the oxygen masks dropping. 30 of the 166 passengers experienced nose and ear bleeding. Some also complained of headaches. The flight's cockpit crew have been taken off scheduled duties pending an investigation."
Any notes, ma'am, please don't record anything.
Stating that Pakistan remains ready to discuss terrorism, newly elected Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan has written to Prime Minister Modi seeking a resumption of dialogue between the two countries. Khan writes, "We owe it to our peoples to peacefully resolve all outstanding issues, including Jammu and Kashmir. Siachen and Sir Creek also need close attention to move towards resolution." In what could be the first substantive engagement between India and Pakistan in 2 years, if it comes through, Khan has proposed a meeting between the foreign ministers of both countries on the sidelines of the United Nations General Assembly later this month. and India has agreed. The foreign ministers, Khan writes, can explore the way forward, especially the holding of the SAARC summit in Islamabad. The summit will offer an opportunity for you to visit Pakistan and for us to restart the stalled dialogue process, he writes. India, though, has reportedly rejected the proposal for a SAARC summit in Islamabad, saying the atmosphere is not conducive. There has been no substantive engagement between the two countries since the Pathankot airbase attack. Khan's letter comes a day after Pakistani Rangers gunned down a BSF Jawan and slit his throat. Speaking at the End Tuberculosis Summit in March, Prime Minister Modi said,
लेकिन मैं आज इस मंच से एक घोषणा कर रहा हूं कि भारत ने वर्ष 2030 से 5 साल और पहले यानी 2025 तक टीबी को खत्म करने का लक्ष्य अपने तय किया।
This may be a distant dream. India accounted for 27% of the total new tuberculosis infections in 2017, which is the highest among the top 30 high TB burden countries in the world, according to the World Health Organization's Global TB 2018 report. The report found that of the 10 million people who suffered from TB in 2017, only 6.4 million were officially recorded by national reporting systems, leaving 3.6 million people undiagnosed or detected but not reported, and said that in India, treatment outcome data was not reported for 22% of cases notified in 2016. The report also sought to highlight the challenge posed by multi-drug resistant tuberculosis. MDR-TB is resistant to rifampicin, the primary drug usually used to treat the disease. In India, if a patient is found resistant to rifampicin, they are often directly treated for multi-drug resistant tuberculosis. In several cases, the patient is also resistant to the MDR-TB drug and their condition worsens. Globally, only 1 in 4 people with MDR-TB reported to have received treatment with a second-line regimen or with the correct drugs used to treat resistant strains of TB. This is especially a worry for India and China, which account for over a quarter of the world's MDR-TB cases. Highlighting that the top 5 risk factors for TB are alcohol, smoking, diabetes, HIV and undernourishment, the report concludes that over 6 lakh TB cases in India were attributable to undernourishment. In conclusion, the World Health Organization noted that domestic funding for prevention more than tripled between 2016 and 2018 and cited India as the example for efforts taken to address gaps in the cascade of care.